Hey guys, welcome to our Tita Fitness. So today I have a special guest. He's called Bryce. We have been friends for over almost 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
2 years and some few months. So he's also a personal trainer. I am a personal trainer. He's a certified personal trainer. He does arm wrestling. He's an athlete. He does a lot of sports. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Bryce. I'm friends with Tita. Basically, we have shared interest in fitness, kind of the whole idea behind this podcast. But about myself, I'm a personal trainer, a little bit of a coach. Right now I'm teaching kids how to lift. I do a youth powerlifting program. I also love to arm wrestle and rock climb and hike and do all kinds of crazy stuff. I'll join your sports team if you ask me to. That's just the kind of guy I am.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I have a quick fire questions for you. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions and maybe we should spend up to like 3 minutes to answer this. So the first question is, what inspired you to become a personal trainer?
Oh man, that's a good question. I just always found that in school when kids were lifting, I had a lot of lifting classes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was just always the guy that was encouraging other people to push themselves, do a little bit better, push harder, get those extra reps.
Yeah.
Help them with the extrinsic motivation, have a goal at the end of their, whatever they're doing this lift for, right? And from there, it's kind of was like, well, this is going to be my natural progression. So,
And what's your favorite workout routine or exercise?
so this changes. I think it should change. For
Tell
everybody.
us your favorite for today.
So I've been doing these. They're awful. They're terrible. So they're a single leg hinge, basically. But
Okay.
There's a machine called the perfect squat where. There's two fixed metal bars that go on your shoulder, and it allows you to squat down with the weight being directly on your shoulders.
It's more like a hack squat.
So the best way to think of it is it's kind of like a pendulum squat, but it's straight up and down, so you're not on an angle.
I see. The third question is, how do you stay motivated to maintain your fitness? Because man, I've seen you like you're always like, looking strong, doing a lot of fitness challenges. How do you maintain that?
Basically, it's not, motivation's a hard one, right? Because, motivation comes and goes at any time, right? I kind of look at it as being prepared for life, right? So ever since I started lifting, I wanted to be like big and strong and tough and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that motivation kind of leaves you eventually. You get big and you get strong. So I just want to be healthy and active so that, I can age well, basically.
Guys, you can hear what he's saying. So let's go to number 4. What's the most common mistake you see people making at the gym?
Okay, so
Just mention one.
basically, I think it is too many exercises, not enough hard sets. That's the number one thing I see.
Too many exercises, not enough sets.
Enough hard sets, right?
Oh, hard sets. Okay, so they don't push themselves to...
Exactly.
Okay.
The proximity to failure is just not quite there.
Okay. So number 5, can you share a success story from your clients? One.
Probably the easiest thing is the kids that I teach.
Okay. Are they more like special kids?
So it's just a lot of kids that have never lifted weights before.
Yeah.
Right. And so I remember I had this kid that was about 7 years old and just didn't really know how to move his body. And a couple weeks later, he's 7 years old and deadlifting 130 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. How do you tailor workout plans for different fitness levels? Like, how do you prepare your workout routines for different kind of clients?
So getting to know them, it's important, right?
Yeah.
Understanding what their limitations are.
Okay.
So,
getting to know them, understanding what their needs are.
yeah, because you don't want somebody who's had some nagging injury or something in their shoulder, let's say, and you give them a bunch of bench pressing or something like that, right? So what I like to do is I kind of like to ask them, what their interests are, what their goals are, find out their limitations, and then, I kind of have a style of lifting that I like that is more hypertrophy based for most people.
Yeah.
So I kind of try to set somebody up for that.
Do you think it's important to have a style of training so that you can define what kind of clients maybe you can have, or do you kind of train for like a general population?
So, this is going to come down to the question of marketability, right?
Yeah.
So I have a bio, right, where I work, and it lists all the different interests that I have.
Okay.
Right?
I see.
So I'm trying to pull people in that are interested in all this different stuff, right?
Yeah.
Somebody tells me they want to do something that's not in the lines of what I'm used to doing. Hey, I'll tell them like, I'm not very familiar with this, but I can help you, with what I do know. So.
Okay. The next question is, what's your go-to advice to someone just starting their fitness journey?
Progress takes time. That's basically the go-to.
Progress takes time.
It really does.
I agree with you on that. How important is nutrition in achieving fitness goals?
So the question of nutrition is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning, when you're an untrained athlete, you can get away with dang near anything. You can get away with murder, basically.
Yeah.
You're gonna make progress, right?
Yeah.
It really becomes important, after a year, after 3 years, hitting plateaus sucks for all of us. Nobody likes it, right? And that's when you start really thinking about, hey, is my protein goals there? Am I actually meeting them?
Okay.
Am I eating enough calories, And then it changes,
Yeah.
Are you trying to cut down for a bodybuilding show, or are you trying to get big for a powerlifting meet, So,
yeah. And next question is, what's a fitness myth you wish people would stop believing in? Especially we have like a lot of
well, obviously
myths.
this is the one everybody's going to say, right?
Yeah.
Girls say if I lift, I'm going to get bulky, right? And it's like, well,
yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. That's kind of number one.
You have to lift so heavy for you to be bulky and eat more proteins. Like it takes
so
time.
Much. Well, the other thing we were saying is it takes time, right?
So much,
You're not going to wake up one day and be like, I'm got way too much muscle now,
That's very important.
So,
yeah, let's go to number 10. How do you stay updated with the latest fitness trends and techniques? That's our last question.
Oh man, this is a good one because YouTube's a beautiful resource, right?
Okay.
How
really often do you use?
Every day. Every day. I'm always learning something about fitness.
How do you identify like certified fitness influencers from the ones who are like just teaching people what has worked for them?
So credibility is huge, right? So I don't get swayed by social media influencers.
Okay.
I like trusted sources.
Yeah.
Usually they're people with PhDs attached to their name,
Oh, I see, yeah.
So that's kind of a way to vet your information. Although that being said, there's still anybody that can articulate the way that a study is done, understands the variables and the outcome, and can read the data.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're trying to communicate science, that's awesome, right? I appreciate that,
Do you do any kind of continuous education with NASM? Because, NASM, after every NSM, it's a National Academy of Exercise Science. We are certified through NSM, right?
Yep.
So they have a program which is continuous, how do we call it?
Continuing education.
Yeah,
credits,
continuous
basically.
education, yes.
Yeah.
So what happens, they give you, like after 2 years, you have to get certified.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to kind of taking those courses?
Yeah, the next tool I'm going to add to my belt is just a strength and conditioning certification.
Okay.
Kind of opens you up a little bit more to working with teams or sports, athletics,
Yeah.
That's kind of the realm that I'm more interested in.
Awesome, guys. You answered our quick fire questions, 10. So we are going to go deep into the podcast for today. I'm going to share a lot of experiences through my personal training journey. He's also going to do the same thing. Let's get started.
Got it.
Awesome. Guys, we are going to discuss more deep about fitness with Bryce. Today he's going to give us his experiences in personal training industry, also like the challenges that he has gone through. So yeah, are you ready for this?
Yes, I am.
So how do you feel like, how far are you from like when you started personal training, the first time you got certified, and where you are right now? What have you achieved? Like, how do you feel? What can you say about personal training?
Oh, it's different than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. It's like anything else. You're doing a direct service,
Okay.
right? So direct customer interface, that's
Yeah.
important to get right. You got to be friendly, respectful, understand that you're kind of teaching people something that they may know nothing about.
Yeah.
So having patience is important, which is good. In my professional job, I have all those skills anyway, So I would say the number one thing is I thought that people were going to love all this extra information that I was going to give them, right? Like,
Okay. So how do you keep like, how was it so hard for you to get clients? How did it work for you? And then now, how do you feel like, what can you say from the time that you started, especially when it comes to getting clients? Was it easy? And now, just give us more the overview.
So I work with for a nonprofit gym.
Yeah.
So the clientele there is not like an upscale, commercial gym. Long story short, no, I do not get a lot of clients there at the moment.
Yeah.
They don't really promote it, I'm there and I teach a lifting class that I enjoy, so the personal training aspect, is kind of fulfilled.
Okay.
I'm teaching new lifters how to lift, which I think is important.
Yeah.
So
How do you think about, as fitness professionals, do you think like personal branding is an important thing that we should focus on? Like, what's your opinion about that?
So yeah, it's all about, where you're working. So if you're working in a commercial gym,
Yeah.
upscale, boutique style gym, you need to stand apart,
Okay.
So
What's your go-to more like personal branding? Is it more like doing activities outside the gym, like let's say engaging in soccer, like you're arm wrestler? Actually, tell us more about arm wrestling. What does it take to be an arm wrestler? Because it's not like a common sport. So I'm so interested to know the training routine and what it takes to be an arm wrestler. Because I know like you've done a lot of which like you're going to share some videos with me so that we can post them there.
Okay, you got it. Man, being an arm wrestler is, first of all, it hurts. I'll tell you that. There's no other, like, powerlifting didn't hurt as much as arm wrestling.
Have you gotten any kind of injuries from arm wrestling?
A couple. You get, your tendons are taking a lot of damage in your elbow and your bicep, your brachialis.
Okay.
Hands, wrists, So you're basically putting a maximal effort in over and over and over again. Not a lot of sports do that. Powerlifting, you have one max. You have 3 attempts. That's all you do in your sport to compete.
Okay.
A tournament style arm wrestling match, basically, you may be going for a solid hour, depending on how big your weight class is. You might have to arm wrestle. If you just are in the prelims, you might have to arm wrestle 6-8 times, and then if you're in the finals, you may have to arm wrestle an additional 6 times. So.
And why do you think arm wrestling is not like a big sport for most of the people? Because, I just came to know arm wrestling here in the US. So I haven't seen it kind of being practiced outside there, like, as a big sport. What do you think? Is it the kind of injuries that people get from arm wrestling? Like, what's your personal opinion about that?
Well, I'll say when you try to recruit somebody, the number one thing they're worried about is getting hurt, right?
Okay.
in the sport of arm wrestling, you hurt yourself. That's how you do it. You can concede, or you can continue trying in a bad position, and that's how you get hurt, right?
Okay.
So there's some ego involved in it and stuff like that, unfortunately. So if you're the kind of person that won't quit, you can break your arm.
Oh, wow.
It's easy. You can pop a bicep off the bone, stuff like that.
Do you have a training routine for arm wrestling?
So, arm wrestling, you need friends, you need a group. So basically, we have a big practice once a week.
So you practice to other people?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And that's how you share knowledge, right? You figure out stuff because it's a technique.
Yeah.
Devin Larrett's one of the best arm wrestlers, and one of the ways I've heard him describe it is table jiu-jitsu, right? There's a lot of technique happening. So it's not as simple as move your arm from here to here.
Okay.
You need to understand how to gain advantage, how to gain leverage, when to give to get, so there's strategy involved, right? So you need the technical aspect. You need other people for that. As far as training, it's also a strength sport. At the end of the day, if you're strong, you're strong, right?
Okay.
You need to have a very strong bicep. You need to do stuff that's, you have your two actions of your wrist, right? So you can supinate or you can pronate, right?
So I have a question on that. Do you think weight matters when it comes to arm wrestling? Because you might be going against someone who is 200 pounds and you are let's say 180 pounds. So do you think weight class matter? Do they have any kind of how they get people into competitions, or do they just get the strongest person to win?
It's a weight class sport. It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a weight class. Okay. It's more like boxing.
Yeah, in a way, except for these weight classes are usually pretty large.
Okay.
So, for instance, the weight class I compete in is 198 pounds is the
see.
cap.
Okay.
And the minimum is usually 176. Right, so you have a 25, 24, whatever pound, allotment in there. If you're the smallest guy in the weight class, it's going to suck because you might have the biggest guy in the weight class you have to go against. The next weight class up, usually, they do sometimes have a 220 class, but usually it's 242 is your cap. So if I miss weight, right, if I can't make 198 pounds, I am in a class with the guys that are 242 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Wow.
So that's an even bigger jump. And then if you can't make that weight, they have a super.
Super, okay.
Yeah, so it's just open. You might have a 400
Do you guys end up going into, do you have championships and all that, or is it more local? How?
So the cool thing about arm wrestling is the sport's been getting very large in the last few years. Yeah, maybe it hasn't made it all the way to Nairobi yet, but
no. It's not in Nairobi yet.
But so there's some great things happening. They do a lot of stuff in Turkey, actually. East versus West is what they call it, and it's probably the biggest arm wrestling event you could go to. But then there's also USAA. They sponsor an arm wrestling competition, so they do nationals and worlds. So you can become a world champion in this sport. Then you have national level stuff, you have state level stuff, and then, sometimes even really local level stuff,
Yeah, so let's stay away from that for a second. I want to ask you questions about how do you start training your clients, especially when someone comes to you the first time, they want a workout routine or they want to work with you. How do you get them started?
Well, I say, hi, my name is Bryce. Nice to meet you. Basically, I try to get to know them.
Okay.
I really want to know why they signed up for a personal training session.
Let's say some of the people, because, mental health is such a big thing outside there. How if someone is mentally, unstable? How do you get them started? Do you advise and you have a way of preparing the mindset first before the physical side? I would like to hear more about that because I know it's a big challenge. I feel we have a lot of courses with NSM where you can do a wellness class to get more understanding about that, the mental health side. But the personal training is more like the physical side.
Yeah.
So, like, what are the kind of challenges you've faced before with those kind of clients?
Well, I think those kind of clients are just, most of the time, they're just really unsure, right? They don't necessarily want to be working out, but they're told that working out might help them or something like that. So one of the easiest ways to like affect your mental health is to physically get your health, elevate your heart rate, breathe heavy, stuff like that. So trying to get somebody into something that's going to like make them work a little bit harder. In that context, they might get some endorphins out of it and everything, and that could be the spark that's like, hey, this is actually really working for me. But a lot of times, by the time they're at your door, right, when they sign up for your session, they went through whatever they did to get to you, right? So it's usually if you're friends with somebody or you have a family member you really want to motivate, you start talking to them, you start having a conversation. Hey, let's get outside, let's get moving. Once you get moving, then maybe you should join a gym. There's people there. You can build relationships. You can be friends with people.
That's
all that stuff happens before they get to us.
Before they get, okay. And now, you as a personal trainer, how do you keep long-term relationship with clients to keep working with you? Because, sometimes people get unmotivated and they give up or bored. Do you think like gym alone is the only place that you put your people? Do you have like other activities that because I know like people get bored or unmotivated to showing up every time. Do you have any techniques that maybe you can share with the audience that will help personal trainers outside there connect with their clients and maybe find ways on how they can kind of create that consistency with clients?
So I guess this just depends on how much you're actually at the gym that you work for, right? So one of the easiest things you can do, even if it's not a session or whatever, you're there and you see a client that you have worked with, say, good job, how's it going? Have a conversation with them, build a rapport, create a friendship dynamic as well, right? So then they're going to look forward to seeing you. And then hopefully that
do you think that's the area as personal trainers we don't get to focus more? Because I feel like when someone comes, you're always prepared to taking them through the workout. Do you have like a personal relationship where you get to understand what they do, their working schedule, and more like not too deep into their personal life, but to kind of understand like where they're coming from, what they do, and why they are working out with you? Did you put some time to?
So the short answer is yes, but as you know, an hour-long format is really tough, right? You're expected to take somebody through a workout and get to know them at the same time, right? So you have to kind of come up with strategies to say, like, I need to really quickly what your goals are and, your abilities, what injuries you have, stuff like we're going to work around. We get started on something, and then I start, asking questions like, hey, how often would you like to come to the gym? What's your schedule? Are you an evening person or a morning person? And then from there, hopefully those, a little bit more open-ended questions can lead to something that they give you a response, and then you can kind of go from there. And so like, oh, I got to do in the morning because I'm a teacher. And you're like, oh, that's amazing. Like teaching students is important.
It's very important.
Exactly. Right. So you build some rapport. You want to have a relationship with your clients. Like, I want to interact with you again. That's kind of the gist of it. Right.
So some clients don't understand much about nutrition. Do you share nutrition tips, especially like, we get all kind of clients, as much as they're interested more on the physical side, working out at the gym. Do you get to touch areas more about, sleep is very important. Recovery, you have to do some things. Do you give them all the details as a package, or like how do you incorporate that with just like training them?
So I love spreading information. We have a scope of practice, right? So we can only give basics on things that we're not professionals in.
Yeah.
Right. So when it comes to nutrition, I just say, hey, eat protein, get carbs to fuel your workouts.
Yeah.
Don't go crazy in your fats or lowering your fats if you're trying to lose weight and stuff like that. But, well-balanced diet, it's important. And that's basically as far as I get in the nutrition aspect of things. Sleep, I'm always telling people.
Yeah.
If you don't sleep, you
it's
don't
very,
recover.
very important.
Exactly.
Yeah. It counts a lot. How do you keep track of sleep? Do you
Personally or for other people?
But your personal, like as an individual.
So tracking, I don't track it per se.
Yeah.
I don't use a Whoop or some sort of Oura ring or anything like that.
Are you the old school guy who is like, okay, I'm going to sleep for 8 hours?
Yeah. So I try to be mindful of my light environment before sleep, right?
Yeah.
So getting too bright of lights before going to sleep will kind of turn off the melatonin in your brain, so make it harder to fall asleep.
Yeah.
What color those lights are is really big too. A red light is a lot easier on your system than a blue light.
Okay.
Things like that. I'm trying to be mindful. I have blackout curtains so that I don't get any outside light, and then I go to bed early.
Oh, awesome.
That's pretty simple.
And when it comes to tracking micronutrients and all that, because I know nutrition is as important as physical training, do you have a way of tracking your calories throughout the day and all that? Do you have a system of making sure that your clients are getting the micronutrients target at the end of the sessions and all that?
Yeah. Well, the easiest answer is to say, hey, take a multivitamin, take a green supplement, reassures that.
What about all the brands that we have outside here? Because nowadays you don't know what you're buying because the market is exaggerated. Do you have recommendations and all that? Do you think it's good for personal trainer to build themselves to a level where they can work with companies directly to kind of be sponsors of what they're trying to give to clients?
Man, that's a really tough question because there's kind of two sides to that coin, right? Building your brand is important, right? Because how are you going to reach more people if you don't have a big enough brand? The other thing is, your own personal constitution, which for me, I wouldn't want to work with any company I don't believe in, right? If they're not selling a good product, if they're not moral in their practices, if they have contaminated supplements, stuff like that, so you kind of have to do your research, right?
Okay.
Obviously, we all hear, nowadays, all the big ones that are sponsoring all these podcasts and stuff like that. You hear it all the time, right?
Yes, all the time.
But without going and looking at it, right? How are you supposed to know, right? Eventually, there is rapport that's built between this company and its client base, and then people are able to advocate for it, so it gets vetted, right? So certain ones you can say, I'm pretty certain that this company has decent product, right?
Yeah.
Now, who's done the research on business practices, stuff like that? If that's important to you, then.
And I have this question: how do you think is technology kind of affecting fitness in positive and negative way? Because we have AI, artificial intelligence, which is on the market right now.
Yeah.
People are using their phones to get workout routines. They can ask AI to make them like a program that they're going to follow. But form and getting more information about what you need prior or after workout, it's very, very important. How do you think is technology kind of affecting fitness and nutrition in positive and negative way?
I think AI is great. I think it's going to be great for the barrier to entry for the average consumer, right?
Do you think it's going to get personal trainers off the market?
No, because this is the way I kind of look at it. Is AI is like it's like it's like a large tool, right? So Look, if somebody wants to build a training program, and I don't have to think about all those exercises, fantastic, right? Now, if somebody's unsure of their technique, their form, I'm not feeling good today. Hey, this muscle hurts. I have a joint problem or whatever, right? And I still can't really answer those questions at this point, right?
Yeah.
So it's not replacing a fitness professional at this point, right? But the thing, I mean, I don't know how you feel about building programs.
Yeah.
That to me is the thing that takes the most of my time, right?
Yeah.
You know?
I do feel like building programs should be more like, a system where you can have access to a software where you can share with your clients and they can contact you directly.
Yeah.
Where you can share about, like you can see their sleep and all that. Like try to track them because you are responsible of their fitness level, their nutrition and everything, like fitness combined. So I feel like you should be able to have access or use a software that is going to allow you to check on how everything's going. I think that's the best way to keep accountable, but we haven't gotten there yet. But I think that's something that I always crave. Like, I want to be responsible for these people because, they pay me to be their personal trainer. I want to make sure that what we're talking about, they're making a step. They don't have to make like all the steps, but they're making a step every day to bettering their life,
Yeah, and I think that if you have software like that, then it makes your job scalable.
So yes, even easier.
Well, think about how many clients you could keep track of, basically. How many people could you help versus you don't have that information and you have to do, let's say, a weekly check-in or, just you're checking in during the session. Or what else are you going to do? Give them your personal phone number so they can contact you in the middle of the night or what,
I do think like, having a software where you can just wake up and say like 20 minutes because you have reports of these people and like your clients and their needs. So all you can do is wake up and go to your computer checking their sleep programs, how everything's going, like weekly reports, how they have been attaining their calorie, micronutrients and all that. So for me, I feel like it's easier having a program which is easy to use. Like something which is more like user friendly. You see, instead of like asking someone, hey, did you get like 4,000 steps yesterday? And they will tell you, yeah. And then they didn't. So it's kind of keeps someone accountable. So that's the kind of technology that I think is going to help personal trainers more to kind of keep clients accountable. And the clients will know where they're going to put themselves before they can even start like training.
I think that too is it's a way to help your client understand all the different things that go into it, right? Because let's say when you first meet somebody, a 1 hour training session is just not enough time to actually get somebody to understand what progressive overload is, how to build a program so that you're managing fatigue levels and that you're not doing too much, you're not getting injured, you're allowing adaptation, you're doing a slow, basically ramp up in certain aspects of things, you know what I mean? When to change your nutrition and all that kind of stuff. That stuff is not an hour conversation.
It's not an hour
conversation. And it can't be done in the middle of teaching somebody how to do a freaking bent over row or whatever you're teaching them,
So going forward, how do you think, what can you share about personal trainers who are starting like their personal training career outside there?
Continue your education, keep up to date with stuff. Don't pretend like you have all the answers if you don't. It's okay to say, I don't know, and to learn. If a client has a question that you don't quite know the answer to, you can say, I'm not sure, but I can get back to you, rather than pretending like you know because you have a certification and maybe giving somebody some harmful information,
So, what's your closing remarks? Because I know this is our first video. We are going to make more videos together to kind of, get outside there. I'm going also to share your Instagram handle. I don't know. Did you start your YouTube yet?
No, no YouTube yet.
Oh man, you have to start it because I'm not going to post this video until you start, so that
okay.
I can share more information.
I'm gonna get famous
And,
on his YouTube. That's what
I want to have someone like we used to do pull-up challenges, push-ups, and all that, and I feel like we have the same kind of energy when it comes to training wise. I think that's why it was easier for me to connect with you. And since everything went the way it went, I felt like I backstepped in a certain way. So I was thinking about the podcast, and I was like, I think this is the best way for us to keep where we stopped and kind of starting a new channel. Because now we are certified personal trainers. We want to share our experiences, training tips, and everything, training, nutrition, and more like lifestyle outside the gym.
Yeah.
So that's why I want you to kind of start your YouTube channel, and we're going to make a program where we can make steps ahead before we start going on our own.
You got it.
So yeah, what are your closing remarks on today?
So this is a good conversation. It's a good intro into kind of the mind of just your average fitness professional at the gym. Not everybody is like a jacked bodybuilder that does this job, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a myth too. Like, people expect a personal trainer to look, which kind of makes sense. Like, you have to represent what you do.
Yeah.
People have to be motivated that you are going to get me to where we have talked,
Yeah.
So I don't want you to give me any realistic goals when it comes in a real sense, you are not there. So let's say you're a member who is looking for personal trainer. And this person has the knowledge and all that, but they don't have the physique. And we have another person who doesn't have more information about training, but they have the physique. Who would you choose as your personal trainer?
Man, that is a tough one, right?
Yes,
because
so
we're all biased towards.
Yes, with
why wouldn't you
physiques.
listen to the jacked guy?
Yeah.
That's why I think it's really important
to get certified.
Get certified, but also do your own research too, man.
Yes.
It's out there,
Yeah.
We live in an age of technology and information, and it's kind of on you if you don't take a little bit of time to understand what you're getting yourself into,
Yeah. So do a lot of research. How I do it is I train myself. I do a lot of different kind of exercises. I do mobility, flexibility, balance, strength training. I've done bodybuilding training, so that I get to understand where I am going to put my clients. So yeah.
Gotcha. I like that. That's interesting. That gives me some food for thought there. I am, guilty of kind of thinking that the way that I do fitness is the way that it should be done.
It should be,
and that's definitely, not everybody's perspective.
I think it's good to explore to have variety, so that it will be easier for you when you meet someone. It gets so much easier to know where you're going to start them, depending on their fitness needs.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this video today. We are going to make more videos, especially we are going to post videos every Sunday going forward, twice a month, because he's always busy on weekend working. I don't know how you balance that. We are going to talk about that more next time. So subscribe. I'm going to leave a link below on the comment section for his YouTube channel. Please make sure you go subscribe, because we are going to collab where he's going to post some videos too about fitness and nutrition. And we want to reach as many people outside there. We also want to kind of share the knowledge that we have gained on this fitness industry.
Yep, that's well put.
Awesome.
Hope to see you guys soon.
See you guys soon. Bye.